As I settled into my chair at the small cafe across the street from the luxurious car dealership, I could hardly contain my excitement. My name is Claire, and I am a successful entrepreneur. I own a thriving fashion brand, and I've always had a passion for cars. Today, I had an idea that would put my own wealth to the test in a way that I had never done before. You see, I had recently bought a brand new luxury car from the dealership, a stunning deep blue coupe that turned heads wherever it went. However, I had grown curious about the experience of buying a car from the salesman's perspective. I wanted to understand how they interacted with customers, especially knowing that I could afford any car I desired. So I decided to disguise myself and test drive my own car. I took a deep breath and put on a simple outfit: jeans, a plain white t-shirt, and a baseball cap pulled low over my eyes. I wanted to blend in and not draw attention to myself. After a few moments of self-doubt, I grabbed my purse and headed out. As I approached the dealership, the shiny cars gleamed under the sun, but I felt nervous. I was about to step into a world where I held power, yet I wanted to experience it as a regular customer. The salesman was about to meet a woman who could change his day, but he was unaware of who I truly was. When I walked through the glass doors of the dealership, I was greeted by the warm scent of leather and a friendly face. A tall man in a sharp suit approached me, a smile stretching across his face. "Welcome, how can I help you today?" he asked, his voice smooth and inviting. "I'd like to test drive the blue coupe," I replied, trying to keep my voice steady. I knew exactly which car I wanted. "Absolutely, that's a fantastic choice. Let me grab the keys for you," he said. And I could see his enthusiasm. As he walked away, I took a moment to observe the showroom. The walls were adorned with pictures of happy customers posing with their new cars. I felt a twinge of nostalgia, remembering the day I bought my own, but this time, I was here for a different experience. The salesman returned with the keys and a brochure. "Here you go. It's a beauty, isn't it?" he said, handing me the keys. I nodded, trying to hide my excitement. "Yes, it really is. I've heard great things about it." He led me outside to the car, and I couldn't help but admire it. The sunlight reflected off the paint, making it sparkle. As I approached, I felt a sense of pride. This was my car, but I was here to see how it felt to be a customer again. "Let's take it for a spin," he said, opening the door for me. I slid into the driver's seat, feeling the familiar comfort of the leather. I could see him watching me closely, eager to see how I handled the car. We pulled out of the dealership and I took a deep breath. The engine purred to life, and I felt a rush of adrenaline. I drove through the streets, taking in the sights and sounds around me. It was refreshing to experience the car without the pressure of being the buyer. As we cruised down the road, I noticed the salesman was making small talk. "So what do you do for a living?" he asked, genuinely curious. I hesitated for a moment before answering. "I run a small fashion business," I replied, trying to keep my tone casual. "Oh wow, that's impressive. I've always admired people who can create something from scratch. What kind of fashion do you focus on?" he continued. His interest piqued. "It's mostly women's clothing," I shared. "I try to make pieces that empower women." He nodded, clearly fascinated. "That's amazing. I believe fashion is a powerful tool. It can completely change how someone feels about themselves." I felt a warmth spread through me at his words. It was nice to be seen as just another person, not the wealthy entrepreneur I usually was. As we continued to drive, we discussed everything from our favorite music to travel destinations. I found myself sharing more than I intended. I spoke about my struggles and my passion for creating art through clothing. I could see the salesman nodding, genuinely interested. His name was Mark, and as we drove, I learned that he had been working at the dealership for over 5 years. He had dreams of opening his own business one day, but for now, he was dedicated to helping customers find their perfect cars. "I love this job," he said, glancing at me with a smile. "Every day is different, and I get to meet so many interesting people." I couldn't help but feel a connection to him. His passion reminded me of my own journey in building my brand from the ground up. I wanted to encourage him, to let him know that dreams were worth pursuing. "Don't ever give up on your dreams," I told him sincerely. "It's hard, but if you keep pushing, you'll get there." "Thank you, I really appreciate that," he replied, his eyes lighting up. Sometimes it's easy to lose sight of what you want when you're caught up in the day-to-day grind. We continued driving, and Mark effortlessly navigated through winding roads. I could see the joy on his face as he talked about cars and how they brought people together. I felt a sense of admiration for him. He truly loved what he did. After a while, we pulled over to a scenic overlook. The view was breathtaking. The sun setting behind the mountains painted the sky in shades of orange and pink. I parked the car and we both got out, taking a moment to soak it all in. "Wow, this is beautiful," I said, leaning against the car. Mark joined me, and we stood in silence, appreciating the moment. "It's moments like this that remind me why I love my job," he said softly. I turned to him, feeling a rush of gratitude. "Thank you for today. It's been so refreshing to just enjoy this experience without any pressure." He smiled, his eyes filled with understanding. "I'm glad you came in. It's not every day I get to meet someone as inspiring as you." We exchanged stories about our lives, and I could feel the walls I had built around myself begin to crumble. I shared my journey of starting my business, the challenges I faced, and the lessons I learned. In return, he opened up about his aspirations and the sacrifices he had made to support his family. As the sun dipped lower, casting a golden glow over everything, I realized that this experience was more than just a test drive. It had become a connection. A genuine moment of sharing and understanding. I felt a warmth in my heart as I looked at Mark, a man who was chasing his dreams just like I had done. Eventually, we got back into the car, and I drove us back to the dealership. The conversation flowed effortlessly, and I felt a sense of camaraderie with Mark. I knew I would remember this day for a long time. As we pulled into the dealership, I could see the lights twinkling against the darkening sky. I parked the car and turned to Mark, feeling a mix of emotions. "Thank you for today. It was more than just a test drive for me," I said, sincerity pouring from my words. "Of course, I'm glad you enjoyed it," he replied, his smile warm and genuine. I took a deep breath, knowing I had to reveal my true identity. "Mark, there's something I need to tell you. I'm actually Claire, the owner of the fashion brand that you admire." His eyes widened in shock, and I could see the realization wash over him. "Wait, you're Claire?" "The Claire?" I nodded, feeling a mix of vulnerability and excitement. "Yes, that's me. I wanted to experience the car buying process from a regular customer's perspective, and I'm so glad I did." Mark stood there, speechless for a moment before breaking into a wide grin. "Wow, I can't believe it. This makes today even more special," I laughed, feeling a sense of relief. "I hope I didn't deceive you. I just wanted to connect with someone without the weight of my status." He shook his head, still smiling. "No, not at all. I appreciate your honesty. This was one of the best experiences I've had in a long time." We exchanged contact information, and I promised to keep in touch. As I left the dealership, I couldn't help but feel a sense of fulfillment. I had not only enjoyed a beautiful car, but also connected with an extraordinary person. As I drove away in my car, I reflected on the day. I realized that sometimes, stepping out of our comfort zones and connecting with others is the most rewarding experience of all. Mark had reminded me of the importance of dreams, passion, and genuine connection. From that day forward, I made it a point to reach out to Mark regularly. We shared stories, supported each other's aspirations, and even collaborated on a small project that combined fashion and automotive themes. Our friendship blossomed, and I was grateful for the unexpected connection that had come from a simple test drive. In the end, it wasn't just about the car. It was about the people we meet along the journey of life. And I knew that my encounter with Mark would always hold a special place in my heart, a reminder to cherish the moments that truly matter.